Sony's first-party studios aren't in this loud, flashy phase right now, where everything is getting revealed every 3 months, with big cinematic trailers and release dates slapped on the end. Instead, they're in this quieter, slower, almost behind-the-curtain phase, where a lot of extremely important pieces are being set up, even if on the surface, it feels like nothing is happening. And that can feel frustrating. But once you start connecting the dots, you realize there's actually a massive long-term strategy forming underneath all of it. So let's start in Japan with Polyphony Digital. This is the Gran Turismo studio. They've been making the same franchise since the late 90s. They've sold well over 100 million copies across the series, and Gran Turismo 7 is still getting post-launch support years later, which already tells you a lot about how Sony views this franchise internally. Therefore, when people ask what Polyphony is working on next, the answer is almost boring in how obvious it is. It's Gran Turismo 8. There's no official logo, no teaser, no reveal trailer, but they don't make anything else. The interesting part is the timing, because this does not feel like a late PS5 cycle release. It feels way more like a PlayStation 6 era showcase title, maybe even one of those early cross-gen games designed specifically to show off what the new hardware can really do. Which means we are probably talking about a longer wait than people expect. Now, let's talk about Ben's studio, Days Gone. Siphon Filter back in the day. We know a Days Gone sequel was pitched and rejected, which still stings. But what that also means is Bend is building something new, even if we have absolutely no idea what it is yet. That mystery is frustrating, but it's also kind of exciting, because a clean slate can lead to unexpected directions. Bluepoint Games, the remake Legends. They were reportedly working on a live service project that ended up being canceled, which likely wiped out years of development and forced a major internal reset. That's rough. But at the same time, Bluepoint returning to what they're best at, crafting high-quality single-player experiences, feels like a much better fit for their strengths. Now to Montreal and Haven Studios. Founded by Jade Raymond, she has since left. There have been reports of internal issues, and their game, Fair Game Dollars, is supposed to be a PvPvE competitive heist experience. We've only seen a CGI trailer, no gameplay, no real deep dive, which naturally makes people nervous, especially given how shaky Sony's live service push has been overall. But if any of these projects are going to surprise people, it might be this one. Big gamble though. Insomniac Games, The Workhorse, Spider-Man, Ratchet, Wolverine. Marvel's Wolverine is targeting fall 2026 and is shaping up to be darker, more violent, and more focused than Insomniac's usual superhero output, which is a fascinating tonal shift for the studio. And beyond that, Spider-Man 3 is almost certainly in early development, even if it hasn't been announced yet. Now shift over to Team Asobi. This is the studio that came out of the remains of Japan Studio, and somehow managed to turn a cute little pack in tech demo into one of PlayStation's most beloved modern mascots. Astro's Playroom blew people away. The full Astro Bot game sold extremely well. Post-launch support has wrapped up, which means they're fully focused on their next project. And while we don't have a name or a trailer, it doesn't take a detective to connect the dots here. They're making another Astro game. Sony finally has something that fills that family-friendly platformer lane, something that PlayStation historically never dominated the way Nintendo did. And they'd be insane not to keep pushing that momentum forward. Back to England again for Media Molecule. Little Big Planet. Dreams. They took a huge creative swing with Dreams, trying to build a platform where players could make entire games themselves. And while it was incredibly impressive from a technical standpoint, it never really reached the mainstream audience Sony probably hoped for. Post-launch support is now finished, and Media Molecule is working on a brand new IP that is said to be more of a traditional game rather than a creation platform, which honestly feels like the best possible move, because Media Molecule's creativity combined with a focused, authored experience could be something really special. Now, let's talk about Firesprite. These are the folks who worked on The Persistence, Help with Playroom projects, and were responsible for Horizon Call of the Mountain on PSVR 2, which already tells you they're comfortable working with horror, atmosphere, and immersive presentation. Their next project is currently a big question mark, but rumors keep circling around a codename called Project Heartbreak, with some speculation that it it could be tied to Until Dawn in some form. And that's where things get interesting, because if it really is an Until Dawn follow-up, expectations are going to be sky high. But if it's something new that simply carries that same cinematic horror DNA, that might actually be the safer and smarter route. Either way, Firesprite feels positioned to become Sony's modern horror specialist. Now over to Guerrilla Games in Amsterdam. At this point, Guerrilla is basically the Horizon studio. They've got a Horizon Online co-op project in development. They've got a Horizon mobile and PC project that is not coming to PS5. And it's extremely safe to assume Horizon 3 is in active development as well. Therefore, if you're a Horizon fan, the future looks stat. But if you're one of those people still holding out hope for Killzone to come back in some form, yeah, that dream is starting to feel more and more distant with every passing year. Next up is Housemarque, the Returnal team, masters of movement, speed, and controlled chaos. Their next PS5 exclusive, Saros, launches April 30th, and from everything shown so far, it very clearly carries a lot of Returnal DNA, from the fast dodging and shooting to the roguelike structure and bullet hell-inspired encounters. That's exciting, but it also comes with risk, because when you lean heavily into the same formula, some players see refinement while others see repetition. Still, Housemarque has earned a ton of trust when it comes to pure gameplay feel, and that alone goes a long way. Naughty Dog. Uncharted: The Last of Us. Their next game is a brand new sci-fi IP called Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, supposedly targeting 2027. We've only seen a cinematic tease so far, but Naughty Dog's track record speaks for itself. They take a long time, but they rarely miss. San Diego Studio continues its yearly MLB The Show pipeline, along with a mobile entry for the franchise, which keeps that sports lane covered. Santa Monica Studio, meanwhile, is working on Cory Barlog's next project, rumored to be another action game, with additional rumors of a Greek-era God of War spin-off floating around as well. Nothing confirmed, but it's been long enough that something has to surface soon. Sucker Punch just shipped Ghost of Yote in 2025, and the only confirmed next step is Ghost of Yote Legends, the online co-op mode launching in 2026. Which makes sense. They focus on one major thing at a time. And finally, Bungie, still supporting Destiny 2 and launching Marathon, the extraction shooter, on March 5th. Multi-platform, not exclusive, which still feels strange under Sony ownership, but that's the reality of the deal. So when you step back and look at everything together, the pattern becomes clear. Sony is playing the long game. Fewer reveals, longer dev cycles, bigger bets. And that patience is either going to pay off in a massive way, or it's going to test people's patience even harder. So let me ask you, out of everything on this slate, what's the one PlayStation game you're personally most excited to see next?
Previously on Daily HUBRANX.
Let's talk about Highguard, because the internet has already decided this game is a failure. And I don't mean might struggle. I mean deathlag, dead on arrival, cooked, written off, finished. And all of that happened the moment it closed out the Game Award.
To play Highguard early. And we're going to talk about it. And by talk about it, I mean we're going to be talking about the event and the trip itself. I had a lot of fun, and I might be bouncing all over the place with what I'm about to...
Tony Romeo got to play Highguard early, not in a trailer reaction way, not in a bullet point breakdown way, more in that messy, post-event, brain still buzzing kind of way, where you're trying to talk without accidentally nuking an embargo. So instead of walking people through mechanics or systems, he focused on something way more interesting: how the whole experience felt, because he made it clear right out of the gate, he is under embargo. He does not want his video taken down. He does not want a Discord DM that starts with "Hey buddy" and ends with "Please remove this." Which means what he can talk about is the trip, the event, the environment, and the vibe. And honestly, that already tells us more than people realize. Another thing Tony touched on, without directly ranting about it, is the fact that a lot of the negativity floating around online feels premature, because right now, you've got people forming strong opinions off a trailer, a couple clips, and vibes, which is kind of like judging a whole restaurant after smelling the parking lot. He acknowledged that there's been a wave of skepticism around Highguard, some of it fair, Some of it exaggerated, some of it straight up people deciding they hate it before touching it. And that's part of why he kept repeating the same line. You have to play it yourself. Not because criticism is invalid, but because this is one of those games where watching does not translate to feeling. The movement, the pacing, the moment-to-moment flow, those things don't survive compression. The online discourse does not match the reality he experienced, which doesn't mean everyone is suddenly going to love it, but it does mean the idea that this game is already doomed feels wildly overblown, more like internet snowballing than an actual reflection of quality. When he arrived at the event, he described walking into a massive hall filled with PC setups, mock replica items from the game world, art posters, banners, and little environmental details that immediately made it feel more like a Highguard space than a generic press room. They also handed out swag, Highguard cards with creator names, sick lanyards, notebooks, small stuff, but the kind of small stuff that shows someone thought about it instead of just ordering 1,000 identical tote bags and calling it a day. He even asked if he could take one of the giant hanging banners. They did not say no. They did not say yes, which in human language means he is still going to try. And if he gets one, he floated the idea of giving it away to viewers. Then he dropped a line that honestly matters more than most people will realize. He said they basically invited the content creator Avengers, meaning, yes, big names who bring eyeballs, but also creators who are known for speaking their mind. The type who will say something is great if it's great, but will also say, I don't know about this if something feels off. That tells you what kind of feedback environment this was. Not a room full of nodding heads, not a marketing echo chamber, more like a controlled chaos testing ground. Tony said he played with Macro and Stationation, along with other heavy hitters, and that they were straight up having a blast, frying, laughing, messing around, locking in when it mattered. And while all of that was happening, he kept coming back to the same feeling. He could feel the passion behind the game, not in a scripted presentation way, more in that intangible, hard-to-fake way where you can tell people actually care about what they're building. He said if you are a day one Apex Legends ride or die, if you love Titanfall, you need to try Highguard. Again, he repeats it. No ad, not sponsored, not paid. He knows how cynical the space is, so he keeps reinforcing that this reaction is coming from experience, not a contract. Then came one of the most interesting parts. He said the trailer does not do the game justice at all. Think about how rare that is. Usually trailers oversell. Usually the real thing is a step down. Here, he's saying the opposite, like seeing a picture of a roller coaster versus actually feeling your stomach drop on the first fall. Same object, completely different impact. He also mentioned that voice actors were at the event, but he was too nervous to ask for photos, which is extremely human. He met Myth for the first time, shook his hand, told him he loved his Arc Raiders Among Us bits. But his biggest takeaway had nothing to do with swag or setups or celebrity creators. It was how open the developers were to feedback, not just praise, questions, concerns. Why does this work like this? I'm not sure how I feel about that. They were open to all of it. They invited people who would push back, and they welcomed the pushback. That tells you this is not a project built around chasing compliments. It's built around iteration. Tony also addressed the elephant in the room. He does not want people thinking he's a sellout, but he's also not going to pretend he would turn down an opportunity to play a game early and give input. Both things can exist at the same time. You can be honest and still accept opportunities. So where does that leave things? He had fun. Real fun. The kind of fun that makes you want to make content on a game instead of feeling like you have to. The kind of fun that reminds you why you fell in love with a genre in the first place. And he keeps circling back to the same idea. You have to play it yourself. So now I'm curious. Are you planning to jump into Highguard on Monday? What do you want this game to do better than Apex? And what are the biggest questions you want answered once embargo fully lifts? All right, listen. Everyone keeps zooming in on GTA 6's graphics. The lighting, the reflections, the puddles, the pores. And yeah, it looks insane. But that's not the real story. The real soul of GTA 6 isn't what you're seeing. It's what's thinking. Because according to leaks, patents, and footage that's been torn apart frame by frame, Rockstar isn't just upgrading NPCs this time. They're replacing scripts with brains. And that changes everything. I know what you're probably thinking. I've heard this before. Every game claims games, smarter AI. Totally fair. But what Rockstar is building here doesn't feel like a small step. It feels like the moment Red Dead Redemption 2 stops being the peak and starts looking like the prototype. To understand why this matters, you have to look backward first. Think about GTA 5. Legendary game. Classic. But its NPCs? They're basically cardboard cutouts on rails. They walk invisible paths. They drive along invisible splines. They don't understand the world. If you park your car in the middle of the road, traffic doesn't go around you. They stop, they honk, they wait. Then eventually, the physics engine gives up and somebody plows into your bumper like destiny decided it was time. Even Red Dead Redemption 2, which had some of the smartest NPC behavior we've ever seen, was still mostly built on state switches. Gun out, hands up, gun fired, run, threatened, cower, brilliantly executed, but still a flowchart. GTA 6 is where Rockstar throws the flowchart in the trash and starts building something closer to cognition. Let's keep this simple. Rockstar North filed a patent called System and Method for Virtual Navigation in a Gaming Environment. Fancy words, simple meaning. NPCs no longer only look a few feet ahead. Older games basically let NPCs drive like they're staring through a paper towel tube. They only see what's directly in front of them. GTA 6 gives them a high-level understanding of the entire road network. They know which lanes end. They know which streets are congested. They know alternate routes. So traffic stops being decorative background noise. It becomes traffic. If there's an accident ahead, cars won't stack into a stupid conga line. They'll recognize the blockage. They'll signal. They'll change lanes. They'll reroute. And that alone is already wild. But then Rockstar adds driving profiles. Not every driver behaves the same. Some NPCs are cautious. Some brake early. Some hesitate. Others are aggressive. They weave. They speed. They cut you off. Meaning the highway becomes a moving ecosystem of personalities. Not scripts. Personalities. It's like turning every lane into a multiplayer lobby full of different temperaments. Now let's talk about movement. Rockstar has another patent for virtual character locomotion. This is the secret sauce. Most games rely on canned animations. Walk animation, run animation, injured animation, scared animation. You've seen them all 1,000 times. GTA 6 uses a building block system. Think Lego. Walking is a brick. Drunk sway is a brick. Injury limp is a brick. Wet surface slip is a brick. The engine grabs these bricks and assembles them in real time. So if it's raining and an NPC is drunk and you bump into them, the game doesn't look for a pre-made animation called drunk rain bumps. It builds one on the fly, meaning you get a stumble you've never seen before and probably never will again. Multiply that across hundreds of NPCs and suddenly crowds stop looking animated. They start looking alive. This ties into something called the NPC blackboard. Picture an invisible status panel floating above every character. It tracks stress, fear, fatigue, alcohol, hydration. Every frame, the animation system checks that board and adjusts movement accordingly. A stressed businessman running for a cab moves differently than a relaxed tourist jogging toward the beach. You might not consciously notice it, but your brain does. And that's what creates the illusion of humanity. Now let's talk memory. Red Dead Redemption 2 dipped its toes into this. NPCs remembered you in small ways. Caused trouble in town. Sheriff warns you later. GTA 6 reportedly expands this into region-based memory. Not every NPC remembers everything you've ever done. That would melt your console. But neighborhoods remember you. If you terrorize a district, that area develops a reputation for you. Shopkeepers act colder. Pedestrians avoid you. Police presence increases. You're not just a guy anymore. You're a known problem. Now combine that with the new interaction system. Leaks show prompts like greet, threaten, rob, antagonize. Similar to Red Dead 2, but layered with context. In the Hank's Waffles diner robbery leak, NPCs weren't just looping fear animations. Some were crying, some were staring, some were frozen, some were panicking, and you had to manage the room. If they get too calm, someone might try to be a hero. If they get too scared, they might bolt. So you're not just robbing a place, you're juggling a psychological pressure cooker. Now here's where things get genuinely creepy. Witnesses. In older GTA games, a witness is just a guy running to a cop. Solve it. Problem gone. GTA 6 exists in a smartphone world. Everyone has a camera. People record fights, crashes, shootings, which introduces the idea of digital witnesses. Your wanted level isn't just police heat, it's viral heat. If you do something insane and someone records it, that footage exists inside the game's social media ecosystem. NPCs might recognize you later because they saw the clip, not because they were there. So now you're not only hiding from cops, you're hiding from the internet. Masks matter. Smashing phones matters. Intimidating Simulating witnesses matters. It's paranoia layered onto crime. And we still haven't touched the most important NPC in the game, your partner, Jason and Lucia. When you're controlling one, the other is AI-driven. Leaks show shared inventory. You can toss ammo, request weapons, trade items, which means your partner understands what you need. In combat, they're not just standing in doorways like Skyrim companions. They use cover. They flank. They push when you suppress. There are even hints at revive mechanics. You're not a lone wolf. You're a duo. And if Rockstar follows Red Dead 2's bonding philosophy, how you treat your partner might influence how they perform. Like horse bonding, but human. Now let's talk cops. GTA 5 cops are basically suicidal lemmings. They spawn, they sprint at bullets, they die. Fun, but dumb. GTA 6 aims to overhaul this. Police set perimeters, block exits, flank, and dispatch matters. Someone calls 911. Dispatcher logs it. Units drive to your location. There's a real delay, which creates a golden escape window. Run early, disappear, or stay and deal with escalating force. And yes, police dogs are likely back, with scent tracking. Good luck hiding in a dumpster. Now here's the insane part. World events. GTA 5 had around 60 random events. GTA 6 reportedly has over 300,000 dynamic scenarios. Arguments, arrests, car meets, drug deals, wildlife attacks, drunk idiots doing Florida man stuff, all happening around you constantly. Not scripted missions, living chaos. And Rockstar can do this because of advanced crowd culling, memory management, and simulation tech. The beach scene in the trailer, hundreds of NPCs, each with a blackboard brain, each reacting to weather, noise, danger, and each other. So when you zoom out, GTA San Andreas gave scale. GTA 4 gave physics. Red Dead 2 gave soul. GTA 6 is merging all of it, which leads to a crazy realization. NPCs aren't background decoration anymore. They are the content. You could sit on a bench in Vice City for an hour and just watch society happen. Traffic forming and clearing, police arresting someone, a fight breaking out, someone recording it, another person running. That's the game. So yeah, the graphics are beautiful, but the real revolution is invisible. Rockstar isn't just building a game, they're simulating a society. So let me ask you, does the digital witness system sound immersive to you, or does it sound like it's going to be annoying real fast?